Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So today I'd like to go over the stream and give a short overview of what they actually discussed and if anything's actually interesting. On top of that, I'd also like to show you some amusing gameplay of when we went and ran the Vault of Stars with even just one person running the Ring of Air, and it was proccing and dealing millions of damage, up to like nearly hundreds of million, and we'd just get through those boss fights within like seconds at some points. So first of all, I'd like to give a special thank you to all of my channel members for helping me keep my channel going. So first of all, let's go over a bit of the things we were seeing when running with people with the Ring of Air. It was really fun, in my opinion, with regards to tanking, and well, at least on a paladin where we can use smite and instantly gain back the aggro. It was a bit of a learning experience, and in my opinion it was fun. It changed up gameplay, it put in a randomness of what could happen, like you call artifacts and all of a sudden the boss's HP bar drops by 50% and you instantly lose aggro as a result, and you have to then respond to take it back. That as a tank was quite amusing once I knew I had to switch back to using Smite with Divine Challenger to make sure it's a hard taunt. As a paladin, we have the benefit of having a resource pool and being able to cast Smite like 5 times before our divinity's out. So on that side, it's fine for a paladin tank, but the other tanks with cooldowns on their hard taunts, I guess this wasn't amusing whatsoever. Now these rings have been adjusted again. What was happening before was that you would deal damage, and then on whatever hit that the ring would proc off. So let's say I hit for 5 million damage, right? During an artifact call and I cast my tunnel vision. It deals 5 million crit damage. What was happening then, it was taking this damage, this 5 million, and multiplying it again by your modifiers to damage from your stats, from buffs, etc. And let's say you had that times 10. You all of a sudden done 50 million damage instead. And this was just crazy. I don't know how the developers screw this up so badly, but it is what it is, and I got quite some amusement and fun out of this. Just the randomness of it definitely makes combat a bit more unexpected in those boss fights where after you've run them hundreds of times, you literally know it off by heart and it's a bit boring. Anyway, let's move on. They've went and adjusted the rings now, they've reduced them, so they should now actually just proc off the magnitude of the hit that procs them. So if you dealt 100 magnitude hit and it procced, then it would then again go and do that 100 magnitude and it would literally just duplicate your hits. At least that's from what I've discerned. Now, there is still a bug with the Ring of Air proccing 0 hits. Let's move on to the stream overview. And initially we had, as you do with those streams, it's quite annoying anyway, they are just ending up introducing themselves and waffling for like a good 15 minutes before they actually answer any questions. And then if they're to answer any relevant questions, yeah, you're just going to have to sit through it. And they talked a lot about, initially was like, why the Jewel of the North? Why did they name their module that? With this new module 21, we can expect a lot of different quality of life updates, as you would generally see, but they've decided they're going to focus more on that, streamlining the leveling system, removing zones, and then of course we have the new class, which apparently they've been working on for 2 years now. So that just shows Cryptic Studios definitely take a while to produce anything. They've discerned that Neverwinter, the city itself, is the star of the module, so they're just going to be focusing on old content they've already made, improving it by its graphics, its streamlining, and just the overall experience. So unfortunately this module 21 isn't going to seem to introduce anything new outside of the Bard. However, they say they haven't forgotten us veterans, us old players who just want something new in the game. We've ran through VoS hundreds of times by now. We don't really want to be running that more. We'd ideally want something new, a new trial ideally. What they've decided to do is probably introduce a new, what we had before, the Redeemed Citadel campaign, called the Dragon Hunters. It's be like a battle pass system where you progress through gaining whatever currency, and you progress through the bars, the progress, and obtain the rewards, and then you're going to have your premium and your also free ones. Anyway, I hope it's going to be somewhat fun and the rewards are going to be somewhat decent, but we shall see. And with no new content coming out, it's going to be regurgitating old content with this new system, much like the Redeemed Citadel. We've yet to see, we don't have much detail on it. They've also said that they've had one-on-one chats with different content creators, these ones being on the actual content creator program, which I am not, and they've went and talked with those game designers one-on-one, so potentially we'll see some interesting news from, let's say, Nova or Silvery, those YouTubers who are on that program. Now, then they went on to answer the question, what do they need to release content? What process do they go through? It was relatively boring, so I'm not going to repeat and bore you through it. You can watch on the stream if you wish. And then they also went on to why bugs that are actually known we test out on the preview server, we find bugs, we report them, and then they just end up on the live server anyway. It's ridiculous, but it apparently seems they're more focused on outputting content as quickly as possible rather than taking a step back, redoing it, taking the time they need, and then publishing it when those kinks and bugs are you've removed and polished out. Apparently they're just afraid of taking that extra time. So then we go on to the answer to the question of how do they turn an event on PC but not on Xbox? Another real boring question. Then they went on to talk about what's a Frankenstein build. Short answer, it's a fix or a build that just affects their server, not our client, so no data on our computers will be changed. And then they went on to how long does it take for them to produce a build. Another boring thing, you can go watch it for yourself. Then they also went on to talk about why no preview shard is available for like Xbox or PS4, and that's mainly due to the resource value, right? It's going to cost them a lot to create a whole nother shard and have that up and running and then having to update that continually, where they can just have everything on PC, which goes to the question of why can't Xbox or console players actually play on the PC Neverwinter shard? Why couldn't they? Well, that just goes to, they can't be bothered. And there's also apparently some visual bugs that occur when doing so. Well, of course, but you could just make it so that it has a transfer code, but I guess they are really limited on resources that they can't even do that. So then we go on to, is there ever going to be crossplay on the live server? And they literally just told us to look on the internet, and you can find that Sony and Microsoft really don't like each other. So they really don't want Xbox and PS4 players playing together, and it's just real stupid, and Cryptic, I guess, just don't have the money to make them happy, I guess, like Fortnite does. Then we have, will Module 21 follow episodic content like we had in Sharandar? Now, since we have no episodes, it's going to be a very different module, and no new story or adventure zone, not going to be any episodic content like we saw in New Sharandar. So it's more going to be with that new battle pass, I guess. And the Module 21 focus was just on updating leveling and introducing the Bard. They do say they're working on new content for Module 22, so I guess we're waiting till next year. Yay. So then they went and talked about the Strongholds, that they'd like to make a stream or an AMA on Reddit just about Strongholds, right? So those people who are fans of the Stronghold can get together and talk to the devs, and the devs won't listen, and so on, and potentially give some ideas to the developers of what to do with the Stronghold. Apparently it costs a lot of work to update it. Personally, I don't really care too much, but it could be definitely more streamlined as it is right now. We did have, yes, the Bard was in development for quite a few years, and so it's unlikely we're actually going to get any new classes down the line that are going to be anytime soon. So probably another 2-3 years before we get a new class, and I guess it is what it is. And no, they're not going to neglect other classes. They're still looking at the data they receive from them, whether there are certain feats and features which just aren't being used and could be replaced by something more useful. But no, they warned us that that's not going to be like a complete overhaul to the different classes. Potentially, in my opinion, it could be. Like, they could introduce to replace a feature that nobody uses with something that's good, and that could change the whole meta of the class. We'll see. And that was pretty much the stream. 2 different giveaways throughout, and whatnot. In my opinion, they're pretty drawn out streams where information could just be condensed a whole lot more. Anyway, that's everything. Hopefully this was at least presented well, and if it was, consider leaving the video a like. And if you're new around here, consider subscribing, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.